Okay, so hello everyone. Today we are going to start our some of the discussion where we have stopped for diuretics. So most of the cases of diuretics we have seen, and that all the introduction, the definition, therapeutic applications, etc. that we have seen, and then we have jumped to the classification of this diuretics. So under the classification of these diuretics, we have generally seen loop diuretics such as furosemide, acetazolamide, and methazolamides, and also potassium sparing diuretics such as aldosterone antagonists, for example, spironolactone, as well as another antagonist, that is this amiloride we have seen in our discussion. Fine. So thiazide diuretics are one of the diuretics which possess this hydrochlorothiazide and chlorothiazole, that we have also seen. So and other this thiazide-like diuretics such as chlorthalidone, metazolone. So all these we have seen in our discussion. Then this is a slide which we need to discuss, because this is one of the slide which is going to describe the mode of action of all of these diuretics. So let me just be clarify that acetazolamide and methazolamides are carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, and these are the enzymes which are going to inhibit the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, which is present in this proximal convoluted tubule, and thus they are going to inhibit whatever I can say H2O and carbonic acid. So they that will undergo hydrolysis to form H2O and CO2. Fine. So here that enzyme is inhibited in the presence of these diuretics, and these are the diuretics which can, if they shall try to maintain the concentration of bicarbonate ions into the body. And then there are two other diuretics. Another class of diuretics is loop diuretics. So loop diuretics is majorly showing their action in this thick ascending loop of the Henle, where they shall try to generally show the mode of action. Okay, and this fourth kind of diuretic, that is thiazide diuretics, and they are also going to inhibit sodium chloride importer inhibitor at this point, and thus they can show the mode of action. And other potassium sparing diuretics, aldosterone, basically that is number 5, which is labeled over here. So it shows that its mechanism of action, the mode of action at the portion of collecting tubuli or collecting duct. Aldosterone antagonist number 6, that is basically known for reabsorption of the water, generally which will occur at this point, and they will show their mode of action. So this is one of the slide which is going to highlight the mode of action of all of these diuretics with their specific concerns. Right. So now we shall go into the depth of this diuretics one by one, and we shall try to learn little for this diuretic, so that we can upgrade ourselves with the more important kind of this mode of action. Okay, so friends, this acetazolamide is nothing but it is a kind of sulfonamide diuretic, which is non-competitive reversible inhibitor of carbonic anhydrase enzyme. This enzyme is generally responsible for catalytic reversible hydration of carbon dioxide, as well as that is for dehydration of what is called carbonic acids. So friends, this can show the adverse effects such as hypokalemia, and also along with that it can show nausea, loss of hearing, loss of appetite. Yeah, so carbonic, this is rarely observed loss of hearing, but majorly this is loss of hearing is generally observed in the case of loop diuretics as well as aminoglycosides. So loop diuretics such as furosemide, and these are the loop furosemide, that is trade name of this drug is Lasix. So that is the potent high selling loop diuretics, and they show this mode of action. That's why the co-administration of aminoglycoside antibiotics and loop diuretics is generally contraindicated to avoid the loss of hearing or the loss of what is called the capacity of person to hear the sounds. Okay, so this is but major side effect is of this carbonic anhydrate is hypokalemia, and another way they can also cause alkalosis into the body. So there in the concentration in the plasma, there shall be higher level of bicarbonate anions in the presence of this kind of diuretics. Now, coming to the mechanism of action of thiazides. So these are the drugs, basically, they are acting on inhibiting the reabsorption of sodium and chloride. So what will generally happen at Baumann capsule? The urine shall be, the blood shall be divided into purified blood or the blood free from waste materials, as well as whatever the water, sodium ions, chloride ions that will form the urine. Body feels that still there is a scope of reabsorption of sodium and chloride ions from the urine, then this sodium and chloride ions will be absorbed from the urine at a point of this. mm, I mean to say, the mode this after at the point of distal convoluted tubuli where sodium chloride symporter is there. So you can see that as a diuretics are generally going to inhibit the sodium chloride symporter. It is basically called as symporter because sodium and chlorine, both the ions will move in the same direction. That's why it is called as symporter. If it is antiporter, then it may be like sodium is coming inside, chloride is going outside. So that way, these are their mode of action is generally shown. Okay, so reabsorption of sodium and chloride ions will be inhibited by these two, this thiazide and thiazide-like diuretics, and they are generally used in glaucoma. Another therapeutic action of these diuretics is that diuretics are generally used in glaucoma as well. Now, why? Because in glaucoma is a pathogenic condition where intraocular pressure is much higher because of the because of whatever the this body fluids is there. I mean to say whatever the ocular fluids are there. So because of the presence of these ocular fluids, intraocular pressure is much higher. And to avoid the intraocular pressure, this um glaucoma can occur. And our objective in glaucoma is that by anyhow we need to reduce the pressure, ocular pressure. And how ocular pressure can be reduced? So for that we can take the help of diuretics, because diuretics are one of the kind of agents which are going to reduce the uh, body fluids in, because they will increase the urinary output, and they will try to reduce the uh, body fluids which is present in our body, right? So that way, once they reduce the this kind of intraocular pressure, and they are one of the choice of drugs, especially this thiazide and thiazide like diuretics, which can be widely used in glaucoma. Okay, and they are also given in combination with lopurinol and amiloride to prevent the formation of calcium stones in this uh, hypercalciuric patients. So the patients who are having high level of calcium ions, and we want to reduce the formation of calcium stones or calculi or calculus, and in that conditions also diuretics are choice of drugs. The side effects, anorexia, the patients who are taking the diuretics, maybe they are having anorexia, they will not like to take the food. Dizziness, vertigo, and orthostatic hypotension. Orthostatic hypotension may occur in this kind of patients who are taking diuretics, thiazide diuretics. Now, coming to the structure activity relationship, this is the only SAR which can be there in your examination. But majorly, I do not, in my whole whatever the class I am taking, I do not focus on the examinations point of view, but majorly I focus on the your understanding point of view, your curiosity and knowledge. Okay, so structure activity relationship of your thiazides, that is can be we can obtain the structure activity relationship from this. This is basically bicyclic compound having one sulfur and two nitrogen in the heterocyclic ring. So friends, here what is called a cyclic sulfonamide, which is a part of this thiazide diuretics. Basically, this thiazide diuretics here, the sulfur is having many valencies here, maybe around 7 bonds which are present in this ring. Okay, so position number 2, which can tolerate the presence diuretics and what can be. Yeah, so what can be the potency of this thiazide diuretics and the duration of the same, which can be confirmed from SAR or these thiazides, and this is the way substitution position at which will determine the potency and duration of action, the duration of action, the time of action of these diuretics. Then it comes to all kind of a bond. So if we try to reduce the bond between carbon 3 and carbon 4 or nitrogen 4, then it will increases the diuretic potency approximately 10 to 3-fold, and direct substitutions with 4,5 position of alkyl group will try to show reduction in and activity. Substitution at the sixth position. Sixth position means at this position with R1 group that is going to that is essential for diuretic activity, and the best substitution for the same is including chloro, bromo, trifluoromethyl as well as manganese. At position number 7, so SO2NH, actually you have NH2 with the I, that is a mistake. So it should be only SO2 NH2. It is ulta bhi likha hua hai, that is a further big mistake. So SO2NH, sulfur is directly connected. So there is a mistake in this presentation, but sulfur should be attached to the benzene ring, just like you have seen as a diuretics and their mode of action. Sulfur is attached to the benzene ring. It's not like that nitrogen is attached to the benzene ring. Okay, so here there is a mistake in this presentation, but in the moral of the message, the moral of this SAR is that this sulfoamyl group that should be present in position, that is considered as a prerequisite for diuretic. Then we are going to see the further what are the different drugs and if they can have the substitution. So keeping this structure in mind, R and R1, if R and R1 varies, we can have this hydrochlorothiazide, trichlormethiazide, methyl chlorothiazide as well as hydrofluorothiazide. Okay, so this was the case for our thiazide and thiazide-like diuretics. At the second position, if there is a methyl group, can increase the activity, and saturation between second, third, and fourth position may increase the potency of thiazide diuretics, resulting into hydrothiazide diuretics. Friends, now we are going to learn the mode of action of these loop diuretics. Now, loop diuretics, let me tell you, loop diuretics are the diuretics which are potent diuretics. They are having the mode of action which is ultimate and supreme from all other kinds of diuretics. That's why they are termed as high ceiling diuretics. Why they are called as high ceiling? The reason for this is a small dose of this drug can cause diuresis for a longer period of time. Other diuretics we might have to give 3 times in a day, but loop diuretics we only have to give 2 times in a day. Either a first dose in the morning, second dose is in the evening. That way, even in a patient of hypertension, these diuretics are choice of drugs because they are used after loads and preloads. Because जो heart का patient होता है, generally is having the cardiac deficiency, and because of which it has the heart has to pump the blood to all the parts of the body, and this way if diuretics are given to such patients, then body fluids will be less, so there will be less burden on the cardiac muscles, cardiocytes, to pump the blood into different parts of the. Okay, so that's why these diuretics are given generally, and they act by inhibiting this luminal sodium potassium 2 chloride symporter. Yeah. Okay. So basically, it is sodium potassium chloride symporter. Previously, it was sodium chloride symporter in case of thiazide diuretics. In this case, it is sodium potassium 2 chloride. So that means one sodium, one potassium will be traveling, and similarly, where 2 chloride ions will be also traveling. So that way, 2 plus gain, 2 Cl minus gain. So overall, the situations will remain normal. Means the electrolytic conditions will be normal. Okay, so furosemide is generally a kind of diuretic which is preferred than ethaclinic acid for a number of reasons, because it is less autotoxic. Autotoxic means which can cause hair loss, which can cause damage to the internal ear. Because though there are two types of, we can divide the ear into two types, external as well as inner. So inner ear is more important to listen the sounds and visual this audios. That is more important. And this furosemide is a diuretic which is going to impact on inner membrane. The mode of action, I'm not much aware about this, that what can be the reason to cause the autotoxicity, but it is said that it is going to affect the inner cochlear membrane or an inner ear. Okay, so that way this is, but it is having autotoxicity, but this less amount of autotoxicity as compared to any other kind of drug. It has broader dose response curve, जैसे वो pharmacology में dose response curve Dr. Mehul Sorawala or Dr. Mustaqim Mansuri might have taught you during your practicals of therapeutics. I'm not sure, but dose response curve is much more that is much more broader in the case of this furosemide. It is more convenient to use for intravenous, as well as it can cause fewer GIT side effects. GIT, यहाँ पे GIT का spelling is not written correctly, but this GIT means gastrointestinal side effect. Generally, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, or internal colic, abdominal pain, which can be associated with this. How to synthesize this drug? The synthesis of this drug is there on your slide, where 2,4-dichlorobenzoic acid is that we are going to first of all treat with sulfonyl, introduction of sulfonyl chloride followed by amidation using ammonia, so that we can have 2,4-dichloro-5-sulfonyl benzoic acid. And uske baad one of the chlorine group, which is exactly ortho to carboxylic acid, is substituted with the help of furfuryl amine. That is nothing but your furanyl methylamine, and then we can have this drug synthesis, what is called furosemide. So it is only two-step synthesis from 2,4-dichlorobenzoic acid. First of all, we have to do sulfamylation followed by amidation, so that we can form sulfonamide. And once the sulfonamide is formed, then we can treat with this nucleophilic aromatic substitution. Remember, this step is not simply substitution reaction, because in organic chemistry we have learned that if we have halogens which is attached to any alkyl groups, it is easy to replace or through the substitution or displacement reaction. But if halogen is attached to aromatic rings such as this one, then it is much difficult to remove. इसलिए आपको example organic chemistry classes में मैंने दिया था उस time पे first year farm D में कि if your chlorobenzene is possess some electron withdrawing groups such as nitro, 1 nitro, 2 nitro, 3 nitro, then we can easily perform substitution nucleophilic aromatic substitution. That is called nucleophilic aromatic substitution, called as SNAR. So that is much easy. So here we can employ the organic chemistry knowledge and can synthesize this compound having diuretic. Okay, so the main difference it is shown for you, because we have covered what is called loop diuretics. We have also learned what is called this diuretics, I mean to say thiazide diuretics. Fine, so their mode of action is also shown. Loop diuretics are the diuretics which are going to inhibit the sodium potassium 2 chloride importer, and they are generally going to inhibit sodium chloride ion. Loop diuretics, they exhibit their mode of action at the basically thick ascending loop of Henle, and thiazide diuretics act at the site of distal convoluted. These are the diuretics which are calcium wasting drugs, means they are known for removal of calcium ions, and the thiazide diuretics are called as calcium retaining drugs. They cause heavy diuresis, the potent diuretics, or you can remember high ceiling diuretics. And the thiazide diuretics are not that much as good as showing diuretic activity as that of loop diuretics. In parathyroid hormone, that is basically independent calcium absorption, and here it is parathyroid hormone dependent. So I have not discussed with this, but parathyroid hormone, which is released from parathyroid glands, and that is just adjacent line to the thyroid gland at the portion of the neck. This parathyroid hormone, releasing hormone, which is released from pituitary gland, and that will sensitize the release of parathyroid hormone, and parathyroid hormone will sensitize the really absorption of calcium ion. So here, this whatever the thiazide diuretics, and that is dependent upon this parathyroid hormone and calcium reabsorption. For loop diuretics, it is not required as much. Now we are going to cover we have covered acetazolamides, carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, loop diuretics, there is the synthesis of furosemide, the difference between thiazides and loop diuretics. Now we are going to learn the concepts of osmotic diuretics. So what are called osmotic diuretics? In general word, osmosis is what? Basically, diffusion means what? So in your during your this schooling, I mean to say 11th or 12th science, you people might have heard two terminologies, what is called diffusion and other terminology is called as osmosis. Diffusion is a diffusion is a process or phenomena where the solute or electrolyte shall move from high concentration to low concentration ingredient. That is what called as diffusion. Osmosis is exactly opposite to this. Osmosis is a condition where electrolytes will move from their low concentration to high concentration. So that is called as osmosis. And for that, we can require a specific membrane. Osmotic membrane will be required, right? रिवर्स ऑस्मोसिस आपने नाम सुना होगा जो आपके घर पे आरओ लगा हुआ है सो दैट इज आरओ इज नथिंग बट दैट इज कॉल्ड रिवर्स ऑस्मोसिस. Osmosis is one of the concept which is also can be seen at your home as well. So here diffusion is movement of electrolytes from high concentration to low concentration, and osmosis is a movement of electrolytes from low concentration to high concentration. Okay, so osmotic diuretics are these kinds of diuretics which are generally known to cause the diuresis by movement of performing the movement of this electrolyte sodium potassium chloride ions from their low concentration to high concentration. Okay, so that way they can show their mode of action, and one of the examples for mannitol which can show this osmotic diuresis, and that is also exhibiting his action at the Bowman's capsule and limited amount of reabsorption because of high water solubility, and they can increase the volume of water for all the kinds of electrolytes, irrespective of whether it is sodium, potassium, or chloride. They can exhibit the osmotic diuretics. So mannitol is this kind of diuretics. Other diuretics is generally although they are not on my slides, but if you refer organic chemistry, sorry, if you refer this medicinal chemistry by Wilson, or even if you refer the pharmacology by Ranganty, you will come across these diuretics as osmotic diuretics. So osmotic diuretics are generally these purine alkaloids, which is obtained from tea. The biological source is Thiacinaceae and family is Thiaceae, and they are having 6 5-membered bicyclic compound having condense pyrimidines, and they are imidazole भी होता है but they are fused, so इसको बोलते हैं fused heterocyclic ring called as purines. And tea majorly contains 3 ingredients: theophylline, theobromine, and caffeine. So caffeine and tannin आपने नाम तो पहले ही सुना है कि they are generally present in coffee and tea, and generally people these are the agents which can cause some side effects, addiction or dependence. That's why people like me may not be habituated to drink the tea or coffee at all. Okay. So जिनको addiction हो जाता है because of these chemical constituents, the purine alkaloids, they require the either tea or coffee. जैसे सुबह उठते ही 7 बजे 8 बजे 9 बजे उनको चाय के बिना उनकी सुबह नहीं होगी, और शाम को भी ठीक उसी प्रकार से 4 5 बजे वो they will feel awkward if they do not drink the tea. So this tea contains theophylline, theobromine, and basically they are also called as xanthine alkaloids, the purine alkaloids, and these alkaloids are known for causing diuretic action. Okay, and that's why uh, these I have observed when I was a student like you people during my fourth year family. One of my friend, I will not give the name because it is going to record on a public domain as well. So he used to drink the tea before the exam. So I used to advise him that don't drink the tea before the exam. The reason is that this tea is going to cause diuresis after 1 or 2 hours. And if you are sitting in examination hall for a continuous 3 hours, so you will have to go for the washroom and for your diuresis, right? So that's why I suggested him that not to drink the tea or coffee before the examination. But many people used to drink the tea before they go to the examination, अपने GTU का or some university examination, before doing that. Fine. So these alkaloids, xanthine alkaloids, purine alkaloids, which are basically known for causing diuresis, and their mode of action is nothing but that is this osmotic diuretics, and which can cause the reabsorption or which can affect this all the kinds of electrolytes, sodium, potassium, chlorine, or even calcium. Right now, coming to the potassium sparing diuretics. Potassium sparing diuretics are those diuretics which are going to retain the potassium into the body, and then they can cause diuresis. Yeah, okay, so here basically they are used in Liddle syndrome, which is called hyperaldosteronism, and amyloride is a diuretics which is generally given in nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. The mode of action of spironolactone. Spironolactone is nothing but your aldosterone antagonist. Aldosterone is a kind of a kind of a steroidal hormone. We can consider as a hormone that is binds to the certain in cytoplasm and expresses the sodium channel as well as sodium bonds. So spironolactone is the competitive antagonist of aldosterone, and that way it will remove all the side effects, all the kinds of pharmacological action of this. Okay, so this is the structure of spironolactone. You can see here, these are the 4 connected carbons, so don't misinterpret them. And the IUPAC name is given over here that possess this Pregnant nucleus. What are the steroidal nucleus might have been taught to you by Dr. Dipen Sureja, right? So it possesses here this cyclic lactone, cyclic 5-membered ketone. That's why it is termed as a lactone. It is called as spiro. Why the spiro? Because this is a carbon where it is a part of, it is a common ring, a common atom between the 2 rings. That's why these kinds of structures are called as spirocyclic compounds. Spiro word is only there when one atom is part of 2 rings together. Okay, likewise, you can see this is one atom which is a part of both the rings. This 5-membered cyclic lactone as well as the same atom is a part of this ring. And both the rings are connected with each other through this single carbon. That's why these kinds of compounds are called as spirocyclic compounds. Okay, and these are their names of several diuretics: indapamide, chlorthalidone, furosemide, and what are their trade names. So Lasix, you might have heard, we already performed this assay in our lab for this diuretics Lasix, and that is also there. And many other drugs, diurel, xeroxylon, etc., thaliton, lozol, salion. These are the trade names of chlorothiazide, chlorothalidone, indapamide, and hydroflu. So conclusion, these are the perfect choice of drug for hypertension because they are going to reduce afterload, they are going to reduce the this before, after a preload and afterloads of the heart, and they are the perfect choice of drug for hypertension. Secondly, they are the choice of cardiac disorders. Mein these are the choice of drugs, and hypertension may be used karte hain. Sometimes congestive cardiac failure may be this diuretics are choice of drugs. Then another way, these are the diuretics which are sometimes they are also given in combination with this, and sometimes some of these agents need to for the reabsorption of calcium ions. They are also prescribed for the patients who are suffering from osteoporosis. The osteoporosis means bones are weak, will become so much weak that कुछ भी जरा सा भी चलते चलते गिर जाएंगे तो फ्रैक्चर हो जाएगा. So this way, calcium to retain the calcium is in the body is more important, and they are generally given some of the diuretics, calcium which are going to retain the calciums, such as your thiazide diuretics and loop diuretics, which are going to retain the calcium into the body. Okay, so they are generally prescribed for these kinds of the conditions. So with this, we are going to stop up to this. We have covered the diuretics and. Yeah, their mode of action, SAR, synthesis can be some of the good questions for in your examination. I hope that I am able to explain you this diuretics through some of more than 3 to 4 sessions on this diuretics. And in coming classes on discussion, we are going to further cover the other topics of your this medicinal chemistry subject. Okay, so with this, we shall be stopping up to ourselves up to this, and we'll resume to our discussion on coming classes as well. So thank you everyone. Thank you so much.